Alright, so tonight we're going to talk about analyzing graphs of functions and piecewise functions. So we talked about functions a little bit last night, and we're going to go into a few more things today. And we got our little buddy here, and I decided to name him Scotty. Okay, good. Alright, so we talked about the fact that the inputs of a function are the domain, and the outputs are the range. So all the inputs together form the domain, and all the possible outputs are the range. So for this specific function, and it's supposed to be a curve, the domain is all the possible x values. So we see here the domain goes from -3 to 7. Alright? Everything else, everything over here and everything over here, these x values are not in the domain. The only x values in the domain are the ones that are in this range right here, from -3 to 7. So we write an interval notation just like we did in that test that you guys all did so fabulous on. -3 to 7. That's the domain. Alright, now similarly, the range is all the possible outcomes. And, well, in this one we see that the range goes from -2 to 5. Okay, so we got from -2 to 5. Okay? Everything below here is not in the range of the function because there's no values down here. And everything above it is not in the range either because there's no values up there. So we see that the range is from -2 to 5. Again, make sure you're using interval notation. Alright, relative maxima and relative minimums. Basically what this is, as you see here, these 4 points that I have put in red are relative maximums and relative minimums. And all that means is in a given interval, so say from here to here, this point right here is a relative maximum because it's the highest point, highest value. This point right here is a relative minimum for a given interval from here to here. Okay? Relative to this interval, it is a minimum value. Again, this is another relative maximum value, and this is another relative minimum value. Okay? So you just got to keep in mind if you're given an interval, you have to see the highest point. The highest point will be the relative maximum, and the lowest point will be the relative minimum. Okay, that's fine. Alright, now, I believe this is our last topic here. We're going to talk about piecewise functions. So yesterday we talked about, functions that just look like f of x equals something. This piecewise function is exactly what it sounds like. It's made up in pieces. So we see that f of x equals x squared minus 2 when x is less than 0, and f of x is equal to x minus 2 when x is greater than 0. And I went ahead and graphed it here. So when x is less than 0, so anything from here over anything negative x, it's going to be x squared minus 2, which is this parabola right here. However, whenever x is greater than 0, it's going to be the line x minus 2. And we see we have a -2 y-intercept and a slope of 1. Okay, so basically it's just a piece. There's different multiple pieces, and you just graph each piece based on the interval given. So anything less than 0, you graph this. Anything greater than 0, you graph that. Simple. Questions. There's only 2 questions tonight, so go get them.